Boxing and MMA can be violent sports where fans watch two titans battle it out to see who's going to become the champ. With knockouts, submissions, and gruesome actions, you would think that there's no comedy in these sports. But believe it or not, there's a couple of times where there have been laughter both in and out of the ring. Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Everything Sports. Today, we're going to be talking about the funniest moments in MMA and boxing. Let's get started. Wanderlei Silva wants to do what to Chuck? Kicking off this list is one of the most infamous moments in UFC history. When Wanderlei Silva had entered the octagon at UFC 66, he wanted to challenge Chuck Liddell and promote what was going to be one of the biggest fights in UFC history. But Wanderlei somehow mixed his words Chuck and fight and ended up saying that he wanted to Chuck.
Because I want to fight with Chuck here.
Caleb Starnes versus Nate Quarry. One of the worst fights in UFC history took place at UFC 83 when Caleb Starnes fought Nate Quarry. And we emphasize on the word fought because, well, Starnes evidently showed up to do anything but fight and ended up running away from Quarry the entire fight, refusing to engage the man. Quarry eventually got frustrated and started mocking his opponent, even doing the running man. Heath Herring gets kissed, delivers a KO. Another memorable MMA moment came at K1's Dynamite show on New Year's Eve 2005. Keith Herring was set to fight Yoshiro Nako, but during the pre-fight stare-down, Nako kissed the Texas Crazy Horse on the lips, causing Herring to freak out and knock him unconscious before the bout even started. Run, Forrest, run! Forrest Griffin was supposed to be one of the toughest fights of Anderson Silva's UFC career, and was a significant step up in competition compared to Silva's previous opponent at 205, James Irvin. But Silva ran through the former Ultimate Fighter winner and knocked him out with ease, causing Griffin to get back up and run out of the octagon after the fight. Lesnar goes nuts at UFC 100. Brock Lesnar just looks like an intense dude, and he showed how intense that he could be after he beat Frank Mir at UFC 100. Lesnar charged Mir after the fight, getting in his face and talking trash, and during his post-fight interview, he made comments disrespecting the UFC sponsors, and then proceeded to tell the world that he might even, quote, get on my wife tonight. Mark Coleman celebrates a bit too hard. When Mark Coleman won the 2000 Pride GP, he legitimately freaked out and started running around the ring like a madman. However, a misguided attempt to jump onto the ropes ended up leading him to falling flat on his back in a hilarious moment. I'm not impressed with your performance. Shortly after Matt Hughes defeated BJ Penn at UFC 63, top contender George St. Pierre ended up walking into the cage and delivered the line that has been mimicked by every MMA fan, at least once. The timing, the accent, the situation, everything about it was comedy gold.
I'm not impressed by your performance, and I look forward to fight you in the near future.
Randy Couture spanks Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz was the most dominant fighter in the UFC for a while, but Randy Couture showed up at UFC 44 and showed him who was boss. While dominating the fight, Randy took some time to give Tito a little bit of a spanking and, hopefully, said something along the lines of "Who's your daddy?" when he did it. Diego Sanchez's drunken nightmare. The fighter, who was normally known as Nightmare, has had a few instances where he was a bit drunk too much and ended up making himself look bad. The best part was on the first season of Tough, where he was so drunk that he was unable to stand up and had to be helped out by friend Kenny Florian, among others. He wasn't helped when Josh Korshek told him, quote, the aliens are coming, causing Diego to thrash around on his bed and start moaning in fear. Strange knockout. In the closing seconds of round 2, the Australian Kostya landed a good right hand on the American, but then the next right hand he landed put Judah on the floor. Zab hilariously got up way too quickly, seemingly yelling something at referee Jay Nady, then stumbling back to the canvas, and the fight got waved off. If you like this video so far, please do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, as well as turn on post notification bell so that way you don't miss a single video from us. Hit 'em with your groin, Georges. UFC 100 was the biggest event in UFC history to that point, and the co-main event between Georges St. Pierre and Thiago Alves was a main attraction on the card. GPS was dominating the action, but in round 3, he ended up tearing his groin while grappling with Alves. When he came back to his corner and told coach Greg Jackson, Jackson came back with the now infamous, "Hit him with your groin, Georges."
Nothing matters now. Hit him with your groin.
Nick Diaz gives Frank Shamrock the finger. Diaz makes his second appearance on the list, this time due to his actions prior to his fight against Frank Shamrock. While attending a press conference before the bout, Shamrock walked across the stage to shake Diaz's hand, but Diaz decided a middle finger salute would be a much more appropriate way to greet his opponent. Joe Rogan versus a bag of ice. Joe Rogan is a stand-up comedian, so people usually go into a UFC event expecting him to laugh once or twice. But his verbal explosion about a bag of ice being ripped at UFC 109 was one of the best moments of his career.
Oh no, this is good. Look at that, they knocked the bucket over. This is the Three Stooges. What are you freaks doing?
Dan Henderson destroys Michael Bisping. When these two were coaches opposite each other on The Ultimate Fighter Season 9, Bisping did a lot of talking to try and get under Henderson's skin. Henderson repeatedly had stated that he would finish things in the octagon, and he did just that, landing a brutal right hand and giving us one of the most iconic pictures in MMA history. Ken Shamrock will, quote, "beat you into the living death." Prior to their first of 3 fights, Ken Shamrock and Tito Ortiz were at a pre-fight press conference when Shamrock gave one of his best quotes in MMA history, telling Ortiz that if he wasn't ready, he would, quote, "beat him into the living death." As funny as the quote is itself, Tito's insane laugh is what makes this clip one of the best on the web.
"I'm gonna beat you into the living death."
Hold the mobile. A boxing fight had to be halted after a fighter's cell phone fell out of his trunks. Marvin Papi Gallo Jones and Raymond Lewis Nicholas were in the middle of a fight when the black phone slipped out from Jones's black and red shorts at the ring in Arcadia, Florida. Referee Frank Saltor Jr. had to go pick up the Samsung Galaxy and looked like he was chasing Jones, who seemed confused. Chanel Sonnen brings fake championship. At UFC 117, MMA fans around the world witnessed Chanel Sonnen put a beatdown on longtime champion Anderson Silva before ultimately succumbing to a triangle choke halfway through the final round. Silva left that night with his middleweight title strapped firmly around his waist. Or did he?
A lot of guys can be fighters, but only one can be champion. And maybe I'm wired a little bit differently.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Silva the champ?
Yeah, I will correct you. You are wrong.
But that's not your belt.
Maynard knocks himself out. At the end of round 2, Maynard scored a powerful double leg takedown, which was far too much for his opponent to take. However, Maynard spiked his own head on the mat when landing and had seemingly knocked himself unconscious in the process. Heath Herring gets kissed. Nako, taking a page out of one of his previous fights with a legendary stare down with Don Fry, started moving in closer and closer during the referee's instructions. As Nako moved in closer, he first headbutted Herring, and then, out of nowhere, planted a kiss on the crazy horse. Obviously, that didn't sit too well with the big Texan. Rosmir Falres celebrates without winning. After landing a vicious head kick that put Miller down, Falres swarmed with punches as Miller covered himself up. Miller wasn't taking a whole lot of damage, but we were clearly only seconds away from referee Herb Dean pulling Taquito off. However, Falres thought that he had done enough and didn't wait for Dean to pronounce the match as completed. The chiseled star climbed the cage wall and began posing to the crowd, all while Dean was trying to tell him to get out and finish the fight. So that's all for today's video. We hope that you enjoyed it, and if you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. as well as subscribe to the channel. Plus, if you can, hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss a single video that comes from us. Until next time, guys, we'll see you later.